Mute it.
Hello. Please, can the host of this meeting communicate to us what is happening? Are we still going to wait for a little longer, or what's the problem? Thank you.
Yes, I think it is important to know if we are starting or not.
Actually, because we have been waiting for almost an hour, 15, 30 minutes.
Certainly, I think we should now start doing away with African time.
And nobody seems to be around to address.
It's only proper that somebody addresses us because we've been waiting for too long.
And this is coming from.
I am also making
the university
from Gombe. Yes. If higher institutions of learning can be that careless,
people relax. People relax. People relax. Yeah. After 10 years of studying bandits, I think lack of disregard for people has caught up with the people.
He told you he's a bandit, so he's behaving like one.
Somebody should give us a brief as to what is happening. We can't just keep waiting.
Exactly, we can't keep waiting. Somebody should tell us the way forward.
You tell us politely, wait for so time. But you can't keep people hanging. This is a university, the highest citadel of learning. If we're
Exactly. I hope it's not a scam. Oh. I hope this whole thing is not a scam.
It's not a scam. I can guarantee that it's not a scam.
It's wrong. People just finish praying in Sokoto. You know, this is the time to pray.
Oh, but
they know the people prayer time. They should tell the time that fits them.
Initially, you know the time of prayer.
Please, I'm pleading for decorum, please. Can someone please tell us when the meeting is starting? Because I am not in Nigeria. I'm all the way in Russia. Almost midnight where I am, you know.
Prayer. This is the problem we have in Nigeria. Religion is one of our problems. When you say prayer. Come on.
You know, we make so much. We give excuses for our failure. How can you put up a prayer and then you tell people that?
Actually, prayer is not the problem, but a very poor organization.
Hello.
But rather a very poor organization. How could you organize a meeting like this and you cannot even
Can we have someone from the
Zoom
institution?
meeting?
Hello, can we have someone from the institution to talk, please? Let's have at least someone from the institution to say.
I don't think anybody from that institution
is on prayers. But right from the beginning, we need to have somebody to address participants.
Gentlemen,
to start the meeting or what is
Actually,
happening.
this is very wrong.
Gentlemen, I'm raising my
Timing
hand.
should not be, it should be done in an accurate way so that people will come out and attend to this lecture and get it right. You don't just keep us waiting just like that.
Only host that can control.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
everybody is talking like that.
Let us understand that definitely the organizers must have been there trying to communicate with us, but maybe due to one problem or the other, most likely connectivity problem.
What kind of problem? They cannot plan their day properly.
Can we reschedule, please?
Well, please, is the presenter around? Is the presenter around? Is the presenter online? Is the presenter on the call?
The problem is nobody seems to be around.
Dr. Rufai. Dr. Mutala Rufai, is he around so that maybe he can
who is
tell
admitting
us?
people into the meeting, please?
Well, they have circulated the link, and so everybody can join.
Yeah, the maximum is 300.
You'll see one Udo's
But certainly there is a
seminar is the host. The host is already there.
So can he address us, please?
That is it. But it's already on the participant list.
Yes, go ahead.
Since you see that they cannot communicate with us, most likely they have encountered a connectivity problem and they are busy trying to solve it. So let us please be patient again to give them some more time.
But they can write, sorry, sir. They can write a message. The host
if they cannot talk to us, let them type a message and tell us what is keeping them that they cannot join
I have sent message to the host and none of them has replied, and it is almost an hour now after the starting period. I think courtesy demand that somebody should have been here. So the question of they have problem doesn't arise. It's not
is
an
the session
excuse.
on? Can I come in, please?
Is the session
If we look at
That's the
screen,
question.
we can see what is happening in the hall. So they are preparing now. That's not to give them an excuse.
Okay,
I just want to call
yes, somebody from Udus is apologizing. I'm sure they
If
are
you look
coming
at the
in
text now, somebody has sent.
This is
Somebody has
supposed to be a live event. So like, I mean, people are going to be there in person.
The guy
auditorium,
is a bandit.
and then it's going to be
the guy is a bandit. He's inside the bush, and with the bombardment from federal government soldiers.
Let's speak seriously. The session, can we be serious, please?
Can we be serious? Is the session on?
Like I was saying, if you look at your screen,
the real bandit.
The host is sharing their screen. Go to seminar series. The screen is being shared. You see that the hall is virtually, at least the high table is empty. I believe.
I think they are having a problem, and they also have another problem of inability to be able to manipulate the Zoom.
Will we allow the host to address?
So it seems like they are having.
Hello, I hope the bandits are not taken care of in the bush now.
Not kidnap the host. I hope the bandits are
that's my concern now. So I think they've kidnapped the host now. The bandits are busy kidnapping the host now.
No,
hello, ladies. Try to avoid that. Thank you.
Yes, we cannot hope.
Yeah,
so.
we can hear you. Go ahead. Somebody want to talk.
Yes, I was just saying that.
Please,
I'm just suggesting that.
Let's talk one by one.
Just move out of the hall and let us wait for them. Those of us who can be patient enough to wait for them. We don't know exactly what is happening to them. Though we are expecting. Let them speak to the people now.
Don't you know that we're using data for this?
But sir, this is not an excuse. They can write a message.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, please go ahead. We can hear you.
Is the session ongoing at Usman Danfodio University?
No, nobody has even addressed all of us, so nobody knows what is going on at the moment.
But that is on seriousness on the part of the organizers. They should have.
Sorry.
Should it come from a university?
Because I've just informed that they are just about finishing their actual prayers. They are the ones that they are. What's wrong with you? Some of us would want to just Ladies and gentlemen, this is a university seminar lecture service. On Sunday, I told you that in the first some of our professors are presented in our lecture. I would like to start by introducing former assistant of this university, former provost, who presented the inaugural lecture number 8 of this university. Please put your hands together for Professor Zamfara. Presented the inaugural lecture number 8. And the other professor in our midst in this auditorium who also have presented inaugural lecture number 18. Inaugural lecture number 18 was presented by my sister from another mother, Professor Asabe Kabir Usman of the Department of Modern European Languages and Linguistics. You are welcome, Prof. We already have in the auditorium From the Department of Nigerian Languages, Professor Ahmed Afani. Is a round of applause for him. Please stand up for recognition. Also from the Department of Sociology, Professor Dejo Abdurrahman. A round of applause for him too. Say if you fail to study sociology, you are your own. It is my pleasure to introduce the head of sociology on Federal University, Professor Tukuru. Babasa, please stand up for recognition. We also have in the auditorium the Deputy Dean of the Faculty of Art and Islamic Studies, Dr. B.B. Usman. There are others, quite a number of our guests, both invited and uninvited, that will not want to be acknowledged. We respect your wish. We are not going to acknowledge you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are still waiting for the arrival of the Vice Chancellor, but already the Deputy Vice Chancellor admin has entered the auditorium. Professor Ibrahim Magawata. Please a round of applause for him. The topic for today's lecture, very, very frightening, very, very formidable.
Go down.
I believe it is the topic itself that many people would have gone out in this number. I hope in the fortnight when we shall be listening to the 7th inaugural lecture, the turnout will be more than this. We are still waiting for our Vice Chancellor. They have we're still waiting for the arrival. There are public lectures and there are public some public lectures we don't entertain questions. But today, this is an academic public lecture. We would not want Dr. MA to go away like that. There was a Q&A session. During the Q&A session, you identify yourself as an organization. You don't want to identify yourself or your organization. Thank you for the understanding. To spend even just a minute in a bandit cell is not easy. I've just been informed that the PC is within the auditorium. It's online. I was just telling you that It will be easy to spend 60 seconds in the den of the bandits. Talkless of somebody I will spend 10 years. I was telling Dr. M. yesterday that if there is any rights and privileges he enjoys, you should ask them to accept it because we are friends. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice Chancellor is here. Mr. Vice Chancellor, please come to the high table.
Management members of the high table.
The University Librarian too is joining him. Vice Chancellor Administration, Professor Ibrahim Magawata. With the special permission of the Vice Chancellor, I would like to invite to the high table some of our professors that have presented inaugural lectures that are seated here. I will start by calling on Professor M.A. Wasagu, who presented inaugural lecture number 8. Please come to the high table. Professor Tutu Adamu of Biological Science presented inaugural lecture number 10. Please come to the high table. Professor Survey Kabir Usman, Department of Border European Linguistics, inaugural lecture number 18. Please come to the high table. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, members of our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let us commit ourselves into the hands of God Almighty for this program. This note, I would like to invite Professor A.P. Menosara from the School of Medical Arts to please come forward and give us an opening prayer. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chancellor. It is now my pleasure to hand over the microphone to you. I will start by thanking for coming late. I have some issue that I need to address before I come here. This is not in my character, neither the university staff program. Today, we are here not because of the moment, insecurity in Nigeria. Our nation is in need of how to address the existing insecurity in the country. Now the East have no central South
to have other issues. No keeping of the nation free from insecurity and other disturbances. Knowledge and provide this sharing from women and the government. If somebody always do was it if it was was it was there in the history of the knowledge that there was possibility? If it is encouraged, what happens when it comes? What other things now? And why is that? Are we now? If we or are we declining again as we had over the years? And which is new and which is not new. How and other no individuals want to where we invited house priests to come and give a story about insecurity in the northern Nigeria. At that time, we promised that there are going to be another competition for poetry on insecurity in football. When that comes, we are not only invite poets, we are going to invite the rural football day to come to Sokoto and discuss their issue here in this hall. Bombs and firearms will subdue insecurity. It's not the answer of insecurity. What we are going to discuss today is the gap between peace, the challenges, and where are we going to go after. Is there anything that our security personnel need to know that they don't know? They have all the answers. Is there any war or security challenges that 100% being solved and addressed by our armed forces? They are doing their best. They need our support. They need our prayers. We also contribute to what they do for us, for them to steer us. This talk today, Bandit, is the contribution of Usman and for the university who are addressing the issue of insecurity in northern Nigeria and in Nigeria. I don't want to be end. When you see him, he's actually not a bandit. He's actually not a bandit. He's nothing but a scholar trying to tell the story of the bandits and their activities to the power and also to the intellectual community. For us to learn our lesson, see how can we address this issue. We should not allow this to continue. The Somali and for the university will continue to contribute to this. We are open to discussions and for discussions. Depending themselves, if they want to come here, we welcome them. We should be helping the government to address this issue. This is our way, small talking way of addressing the issue and helping the government and our security personnel to solve the problem of banditry and insecurity in Nigeria. It is, you are all welcome to Usman for the university. May God be with us. Thank you very much, our Vice Chancellor. You've heard it from him. Our speaker, Dr. Murtala Ahmed was never a bandit. He is not a bandit, and God willing, he will never be one. Murtala Ahmed
Rufai celebrated his 46th birthday 2 weeks ago. He was born in the quiet town of Argungu on the 25th of August 1976. Chairman General Committee, can you please usher Dr. Rufai? Primary school in Argungu from 1983 to 1989. Secondary education at Sama Secondary School, Argungu, 1990 to 1996. Then from there, he proceeded to Adiriji College of Art and Science between 1998 to 2000. Between the year 2000 and 2005, Dr. Murtala Ahmed Rufai got a BA Honours degree in History. In 2009, Masters of Arts degree in History, and by 2014, the capital with a doctorate degree in history, all at the University of Zamfara University. So the time he presented his PhD, his area of specialization was economic history. From the year 2010-2011, he veered off into conflict studies, and started to take a posted he studied banditry in Nigeria. Quite a number of times he invited me whenever he's going on the field work, and I always decline. We have quite a number of our researches together with him, most especially on corruption and intergroup relations. Recently, Murtala Ahmed Rufai speaks English, Hausa, basic Arabic, and to an extent, they understand the language of the bandits. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to give Dr. Ahmed Rufai the podium to present the 15th seminar series of Standard University. These are the Chief Security Advisor to His Excellency, Kebbi State Governor, should please come to the high chief. Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to start this presentation by thanking God Almighty for giving me the strength, the courage, and determination to go into a field that is the field of rural insecurity and rural banditry. Not only that, ladies and gentlemen, I think it is very important for me to salute courage, determination, and also the zeal of the Vice Chancellor. When I came out with this topic, I am a bandit. The Vice Chancellor asked me, Murtala, are you really a bandit? I said, Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, it is actually just a concept to draw international attention. And the very first time I sent this same topic to Professor Dairo Arugungu, he said, Murtala, I also want and love you so much. Please put the invited comma. Tell the whole world that you are not a bandit. Ladies and gentlemen, I think the Vice Chancellor and his management team have actually done more than enough for me. And I am very, very grateful. Not only that, I also wish to acknowledge the contribution of our professors here present who actually observe this day where Murtala Ahmed Rufai, a student of rural economy, has overnight switched into rural banditry. There is a relationship. Because most of these developments are fundamentally rural phenomena. And when I was doing my PhD, ladies and gentlemen, may the soul of Professor Aminu Issa Koyandaki rest in perfect peace. A scholar of international relations said, Murtala, can you go into banditry? I said, let me try. He said, no, please count me out. Actually counted him out right from the one.
Let me not actually disturb you with our normal discussion. I am a student of history. And fundamentally, the objective is to demonstrate clearly with evidence historical development of rural banditry in Zamfara. I was opportune, ladies and gentlemen, to participate from the beginning of all the negotiation, all the amnesty, all the state pardon in disguise to collect information. And whenever I am in the midst of these people, they will ask questions. Are you with us or you are against us? I will tell them that I am neutral. And I will try as much as possible to maintain my neutrality, ladies and gentlemen. So this topic we are actually seeing here, it is actually, I am a bandit, a decade of research in the bandit pen of Zamfara. It is a decade actually when we look at the history and the historicity of the phenomenon. Because the whole idea of modern rural banditry actually started in 2011. I am also going to demonstrate that. If not because of the recent development in the bandit world of Zamfara, same people were planning to celebrate a decade of unabated killings, assassinations, cattle rustling, and high level of rural insecurity. Ladies and gentlemen, we actually need to give kudos to the Nigerian security operators because they are doing what they're supposed to do. And we should, as a matter of fact, pray for them. Move this to their help. Ladies and gentlemen, I have actually in the introduction here, looking at the issue of rural insecurity or rural banditry in Zamfara. It is actually not a new phenomenon, ladies and gentlemen. It is not a new phenomenon because the history of rural banditry in Zamfara is actually deeply rooted in the history of Zamfara Kingdom itself. As far back as 1891, there were cases reported from Zamfara to actually Sokotia to Maaz and Pellu about the connivance, conspiracy, and colluding of traditional authorities into armed robbery, into cattle rustling, and other related crimes. I am saying this even before the coming of the Europeans, even before the colonial period. Ladies and gentlemen, when we look at this development, it is more or less a continuation. A continuation in the sense that it is something that happened during that period. Please can we go to the next slide? Next. Well, thank you very much. This is what I'm seeing. If you go to rural Zamfara today, you find all historians, press singers, and the rest of them communicating and discussing about the origin of this ugly phenomenon. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe Professor Aliyu Bunza will give us a very long discussion and history of Gambu, whatever song was sung by Gambu, for instance, he is referring to rural bandits. And if we care to know and to listen, it's not in any way any phenomenon. When the colonialists came to this part of the world, Lugard made it very clear in his dual mandate that the objective of colonialism and the conquest is stop. Not ordinary stop, but a full stop to rural banditry, because it was actually a crime that was actually going on, and it was a actually processed. Not only that, look at how as far back as somewhere around 1910, 210 traders were killed in some parts of Zamfara. By who? By the same rural bandits. And the rural bandits played a very important role during that period in undermining the colonial state and the colonial authorities. With this, we can simply say that banditry is not a new phenomenon in Zamfara region. Ladies and gentlemen, I am saying Zamfara region here to refer to some parts of Sokoto states. Isa, Sabon Birni, Shinkafi, all historically belongs to the same Zamfara formation and the same Zamfara region. Therefore, it is actually a continuous process in some of these areas. Next slide. Yeah, so now we are to look at the issue of the modern happening. There are a lot of theories, arguments, and counter-arguments about the origin of modern banditry. The modern one is different from the ancient or the old form of banditry. This modern one, it is something that started exactly in 2011. And that is the intention of this rural bandit to celebrate a decade today, which we are actually in 2021. And that informs the philosophy and the rationale behind the formation of the topic itself. It may interest you to know that political costs in Zamfara were recruited, were given all the necessary support by a certain political party to support actually what is going on. Fortunately or unfortunately, when the same party emerged, those young boys were abandoned, doing nothing, having nothing doing. And to them, they decided to go into banditry, and that is the beginning. Some of them argue that the first 10 motorbikes they used in coordinating and executing attacks were part and parcel of what were given to them by some of this political class. It is an argument, a very strong and valid argument, because some of them were identified, interviewed, and they provided their own version of the story. The politicians did not in any way give them this motorbike to become bandits. Rather, they feel they need to be compensated. And that was the compensation given to them, and they became something else. You go to the same rural Zamfara, you find also another prominent argument about what? About the illicit mining activities. Ladies and gentlemen, mining is what and will remain a very big problem in Zamfara. We're talking about illicit mining here, talking about the local miners in Nigeria, including the political and the business class. We also talk about the foreign miners. The foreign miners played a very important role in escalation of what of this particular conflict. In what sense? The emergence of this rural banditry, rural insecurity, they paid money to the bandits not to go and execute any form of crime, rather to give them protection. What the bandits call the paid protection levy. That protection levy, for instance, was actually a seed money that they used in what? In the procurement of arms and ammunition. And that is why, even with all the developments, the rural local illicit mining were benefiting from that industry, and they were not in any way ready to say no to it. And at the point in time, even at the context of the conflict 2016-2017, ladies and gentlemen, you find Chinese miners in rural part of Zamfara. When if you are given $1 billion, you cannot go to answer or forest. That poses a lot of questions. What are they doing? How are they doing what they are doing? It's actually fundamental that besides the illicit mining issue, ladies and gentlemen, we have the social grievances arising from deep-rooted injustice against the pastoral communities. I am sorry to say, the pastoralists will tell you that there is a plan to get rid of them, to kill them, to execute them, in fact, to wipe them out in totality from the earth. Why? Because exploitation of the highest order is done to the pastoralists. Exploitation of the highest order is actually done to the pastoralists. Not only that, you find actually a combination of vicious cycle of exploitation. And what is that vicious cycle of exploitation? Ladies and gentlemen, they are only precious commodity is taken away from them. What is that? The cassette. What happened to the grazing room, to the grazing reserves? They were absolutely and completely taken away by the politicians. And the records, the documents are actually there. Let's go to our rural courts in Zamfara and find what is actually happening. You see, the pastoralist, for instance, has a case in the court. That case will actually be adjourned and adjourned. Unfortunately, some of them will tell you that before any adjournment, I have to be. And you will also be asked by the local there, when do you want your case to be fixed? 25th of October 2021. You also have to lump sum. It is a continuous process. A continuous process. To the point that these people are sick and tired of what? Are sick and tired of this phenomenon. When we look at it, the idea of the social grievances, when this was going on, there was actually the formation of the Vigilante Group of Nigeria. And the Vigilante Group of Nigeria were harassing, intimidating, and even killing innocent souls in some of these rural areas. Ladies and gentlemen, the issue of what? The issue of these social grievances related to what? Related to land annihilation, land grabbing, and also their denial to the grazing reserve and grazing rule is what form part and parcel of the argument of Halilu and Sheikh Huraket. Halilu and Sheikh Huraket are actually the major arms suppliers in Zamfara and even beyond. Please let us listen to Halilu. Next slide, please. Can you please? Actually, a statement coming from Halilu and Sheikh. All right, this is actually something coming from Halilu. This is actually something coming from Halilu, but I think it's important for me to actually thank very sincerely Abdul Aziz of Daily Trust for giving me the opportunity and also the approval to make use of this video. And I am sure Abdul Aziz is with us. Thank you very much for that. These are actually some of the issues raised. And the fact remains that some of these issues are not genuine. Go to the film, you find a lot of cases like this about what? About the grazing reserve and the grazing rules taken by what? By the politicians. It was when all these issues were going on that the Vigilante Group of Nigeria actually came in, operating, harassing, and intimidating rural communities, particularly the pastoralists, with the name of what? In the name of the rustlers, criminals, armed robbers, and armed bandits. And this is actually also a major problem, which we are actually going to see some of the issues as they are going to identify. Let's can we go to the next slide? The operation story I talked about in 2011, these young boys that were actually recruited by the politicians were actually operating into what? They are into the idea of stealing. No doubt about it. Why are they stealing? They were stealing because they live in the woods. They want to have a life in the woods for comfort. Stealing a head of cattle or any form of livestock to the bush. And that is what they call the formation of one. The formation of the defensive group of Nigeria and the activities of NSA. Ladies and gentlemen. I have witnessed cases where in Shinkati in particular, you see a Fulani man, let me use the word Fulani for the first time, will be identified in the market, cut into pieces, and burned to ashes in the market center. I have witnessed this for over 4 to 5 times. It was after the first attempt, I think, that authorities in Shinkati and other parts of Zamfara frowned at that. And then they moved to the other side of the road that is opposite to the market, and they established an area where they call the human abattoir. Now, they don't actually kill anymore in public. Drag that particular person out and then get rid of him, absolutely. And that is one of the major triggers, one of the major genesis of the emergence of high level of rural bandits. Ladies and gentlemen, let us hear from the first generation. We are seeing here is actually Alhaji Samaila Samahot and he formed part and parcel of the first generation of the people we followed, we call the bandit. He was with Buhari Daji and they were actually operated. Please let's hear from him. Go ahead. What actually Alhaji Samaila is saying in essence is simply to identify some of the people who and the evolution of the NSA. Samawa in our interview with him, he said his father, who was 70, was slaughtered in his presence. And he sold the remaining head of cattle. He moved to the wood. He was able to acquire a brand new AK-47 and he came back with full force. He said he has succeeded in killing over 50 people. Alhaji Kawu Shawuri. He said, yeah, you know who I am. So the fact of the matter is, there are a lot of cases like this in Zamfara. Please, can we go to the next slide? This is Ibrahim. This is Ibrahim. The actually was born on the 18th of December 2015. This is Ibrahim. And Ibrahim Dreva is from Gajeren Audi. Please let us hear from him. What is he saying? Bandit is simply addressing its part and parcel of the problems identified by Samawu and talking about the activities and operations of the NSAK. This NSAK were given unlimited power and unlimited authority in Zamfara. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Zamfara and this is Sokoto. All these things were happening and nobody cares. Nobody bothers to find out what actually is the root of this problem. What Samawu Anu is saying and Ibrahim from Nigerian is that they are not denying the fact that there are criminal elements among them, but they need to be identified, they need to be prosecuted according to the law of the land. That is not what is happening. The sponsors of these people we call the NSAK are alive. They are alive today. In 2016, 2014, sorry, the same members of the vigilante group, the same bandit mobilized and they moved to Galadima. That was when they go for vengeance. I will tell you actually what happened. Yeah. Then we now look at all these things were happening. We have the rise of the bandit gangs. And then who is the leader? The leader was Kondu. Kondu was the head of these people we talk about because Kondu was part and parcel of those that were compensated by the political class. He mobilized Buhari, they moved to the woods, that is to the forest, and they started planning. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, Kondu actually was killed by Buhari in 2013. And when he succeeded in doing that, then Buhari Daji became hero. I am not using the word hero, I'm using the word hero in relative terms. Because he was the leader, and then he was also during this period in control of all the bandits in Zamfara. The moment you are alive and you call yourself a bandit, you must have respect for you must have respect for General. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not talking about my respected president. Rather, that is the name and that is how they call him. His own general is after his name. He is Buhari General, and what we have in Nigeria is General Muhammadu Buhari. So at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, it is a household name in rural Zamfara. The moment you mention Buhari, actually people became afraid. What are you saying? Because he is something or somebody that most of the bandits feel he is not even a human being. Because of what? Because of his magical power and because of the influence he was having on the new emerging bandits. It was Buhari that was responsible for the recruitment of what? Of members. When they come up, the Kungiya Gayu. And this Kungiya Gayu historically was actually a union of youth who actually share common feelings about what? About their grievances, about what? About the social injustice, about what? About the operatives or the injustice of the security operatives against what they call the Fulani race or the Fulani people. And Buhari, all the recruitments at the point in time, and the pattern of recruitment is something else. Because he identified all the major Fulani families in Zamfara, and he demanded for money. You either give me money, or you actually give one of your boys to become part of us. Those of them that were rich enough were actually giving out money. But the demand for money is a continuous process. So they feel, yeah, I think the best thing we can now do is let us now sacrifice the bride, join them. And that was how Buhari was able to recruit large number of followers. And that is what made Buhari very, very good. When he can actually reach a certain number, they then transformed from Kungiya Gayu, I am talking about the youth wing, to what? To what they call the Capital Rustlers Association. Unfortunately, the people they call the Fulani or the pastoralists were the first and the main victims. Because we talk about rustling ordinarily, I am not disputing the fact that the sedentary population doesn't own cattle, they do, but when you look at the quantity for instance, belongs to the Fulani, they remain up to the main victims. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to sound ethnic, but the fact remains that if you want to understand the quantum of the problem, go to the rural areas and see the way and manner the rural economy was actually destroyed completely and absolutely. You think we are talking about this is basically the only guide. If one into capital Rustlers Association. And they became very notorious. They are following the time because some of them actually traveled to the southern part of the country. They came back with their PhD in English, with a little idea of Western civilization, and then they became Gayu. You can see some of them actually were wearing glasses, and you can see how and manner they were able to transform all of a sudden. The cattle I am talking about, the philosophy and rationale behind the formation of the cattle Rustlers Association is to get cattle, sell, and get money. Wow. Can we please go to the next slide? Okay. When Buhari became notorious, powerful, and stronger than any other person, for instance, there was the emergence of his friend. They are childhood friends. Related to some extent, some said by blood. With who? With Togo. His name is Abu Bakr. When he joined the Boko Haram, he became Abu Abdallah. He was responsible for the killing. Oh, please, can we see the picture of Harandadi? Yeah. The picture of Harandadi, please. Now. When I'm talking about responsible for the recruitment, he was actually killed by Dogo Gide. And there are a lot of arguments and the counter arguments on why the assassination of Gide please, can I see his picture? Can I see his picture, please? Are you that quickly, this. Thank you very much. I think he was a young boy and was part and parcel of the foot soldiers of his father. Unfortunately, he knows the relationship between his father and Gide, and he has to believe that the assassination of his father by Gide because of the trust they have for each other, and also because of the relationship, is actually the plots by a particular group of people, and that is why he became also very notorious. But unfortunately for Zapoy, for instance, he has gone beyond his imagination and beyond his understanding, to the point that Zapoy has repented. He is now living an urban life, and he said there is no way he can get rid of it. Thank you very much. Please come on, go to the next slide. So the first incident, ladies and gentlemen, and historically, what actually served as a trigger to the conflict is nothing other than the killing and the brutal assassination of Al-Hajj Ishe. Al-Hajj Ishe is actually the eldest person in the oldest clan in Zamfara. Overnight, he was brutally killed by members of the NSA. And this is somebody that has more than 250 people under him. And this was a trigger. He was killed, and they have no option other than what? Other than to move out, sell the remaining cards, get money for what? For wipers. What we are talking also about, when this was going on 2014, 2015, there was the infiltration of foreign elements. The Chadians, Malians, Nigerians, and the Senegalese actually joined what? They joined the bandits. And when they joined the bandits, they succeeded in transforming radically and drastically the operations of what? The operations of these bandits. They supply arms and ammunition, they supply training, they supply guidance, they supply virtually all sorts of things. Then from 2015-16, ladies and gentlemen, we observe an absolute transformation, drastically and radically by actually bandits. And let us look at the profile. The person we are seeing here is Dogo Gide. He has changed his name from Dogo Gide when he was a bandit to Abu Abdullah when he joined members of the Boko Haram. And his argument is he doesn't kill, he doesn't kidnap, he doesn't steal. Rather, he has to believe in the ideology of what? And maintain the ideology of Boko Haram. And he is the major link. But the argument remains that nobody is to some extent part of some of these issues we are talking about. Look at it. He actually succeeded in the kidnapping and abduction of children, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, child, whether biological or otherwise, was in school where the abduction took place for over 5 months, and he was giving him intelligence. It was when he feels, yeah, he is okay with the level and the gravity of the information that he needs. That is when he's right. He has his own grievances. And to tell you that our educational institutions are not in any way safe. The argument here is the boy was in school, nobody others to find out. Take him a roll of numbers, and he was operating. He said he counted actually all the students, and he gave him intelligence on daily basis before he was actually able to survive. And he did. I'm sorry to say it was done. Can we move to the next slide? I believe this is very familiar with you. At the point in time, calling himself Yankuton Abi, because of what? Because of the power. Ado Aliu, which of course he was called Adam Aliu, but his name is Ado, he is from Elkuzi. What is he into? His own area of specialization is buying of kidnapped victims. He will go into bargaining. You succeeded in kidnapping this boy, I will give you 500,000, or I'll give you 1 million naira, and then let me show that responsibility. He will bargain because he has bargaining power, and he was also into collection of different taxes from the communities. Some will even call them Sariki Adu, Banakano Bala, Nea. Going on to the next slide.
Sorry.
Here is Bandit. In fact, the highest level of rural insecurity and rural banditry is to low. Today, if you mention Sunan Bello, or you mention the name of Bello, to categorize his mother, she will say, Allah is me. She has no business with him, she has his own name, he is not in any way associated with her. Because of what? Because of his notoriety. The father also has no business whatsoever with religion. Unfortunately, at the point in time, the father, as we all know, was actually arrested by the security of Egypt, and we know what actually happened. At the moment, we don't know the situation, because Zamfara is in the dark. So whatever argument we are actually going to raise, or we see on social media, we should just take it by its face value. Please, can we move to the next slide? Wow. We are here is no any other person than Al-Hajj Auta. Al-Hajj Auta is in Birnin Magaj. Not in Birnin Magaj town, he is actually in Gidan Kaso. Not in Gidan Kaso, he is in Ukia. That is where he stays. He is the leader of Birnin Magaj Bandit. Look at the way he is seated, composed, and comfortable. Al-Hajj made it very clear, just like what we said about Samail and for instance, he was also assassinated. His father was killed in his presence. He said he sold out the cattle. He moved to Ibadan, from Ibadan to Lagos. He made a phone call. His cattle were sold. He got money, and he also came back with his own AK-47. And today, I don't really know what happened, but he is actually in charge of the members. Please can we move to the next slide, please? Wow. Tangani of Zumi, he is also notorious. And ladies and gentlemen, there is no cordiality, no good relationship between Tangani of Zumi and Al-Hajj Auta of Birnin Magaj. They are always in war, conflict, and also in crisis with one another. With each and every one of them saying that if I have the opportunity, I will kill you and I will also destroy your gang. So there is that issue of inter and intra-bandit gang rivalry. And that rivalry, until recently, is the major killer of bandits. Major killer of bandits in the sense that they move into conflict with one another and they end up ambushing each other and also getting rid of one another, just like what we observe in the case of Buhari at the Dogo. Please can we move to the next slide? This is Ali Kawaje. Ali Kawaje, Ali Kachala, as he is called, he is the major after Dogo, member of the Boko Haram in the Northwest. He was responsible, for instance, his association with Boko Haram, and he was responsible for the recruitment of bandits to the Boko Haram. One interesting thing about Kawaje and his operation is that he succeeded in the recruiting, and also some members that were recruited or fighters that were sent from Borno and other parts of the Northeast, for instance, were sent to some part of Zamfara. And then at the end of the day, when they came to Zamfara, they abandoned and they flew away with the ideology of what? With the ideology of Boko Haram. Because they said Zamfara is a world of unlimited opportunities and unlimited resources. They no longer associate themselves with the bandit, rather they became, with the Boko Haram, rather they became members of the bandit and also integrated into the bandit. We have Al-Hajj and the rest of them. Please can we move to the next slide? Okay, you see the fundamental objective of every gang, Zamfara and elsewhere, is to acquire actually more than weapons. We are going to see the way and manner these weapons were acquired. Some of these weapons that they acquire were not in any way meant to get rid of their civilian enemies. In some cases, they were meant to instill fear in the minds of their fellow bandit gangs. The case of the inter and intra-gang rivalry I am talking about. In the case of the Boko Haram, thank you, we observe the presence of Boko Haram in some parts of Zamfara. And what do we observe? We observe flags written Allahu Akbar, saying that they are members of the Boko Haram. We also observe some of these members preaching, saying that they are also members of the Boko Haram. And not only that, we observe signposts in some places around Ansado area, for instance, and other groups in Okampu and other important areas around Ansado with signposts with Arabic inscription, telling that there are actually foreign elements in what? In some of these members. And besides the Ali I talk about, there is Dogo Wale, Dogo Ali, and who else? Dogo Charity, Dogo Budadi, and Jambu Sani Buta and Jambu. So these are people associated with the Boko Haram. And these are same people that I said they gone away with the idea of the Boko Haram and they became bandits. Not only ordinary, rather military bandits. We've talked about that. Alhaji Shoshingi is also in Zulmi. He is also a majorly played an important role for the bandits and also the Boko Haram. Please can we move to the next slide? Ladies and gentlemen, just like I said, the Chadians, the Malians, the Senegalese that joined them later, some of them were on invitation, came with their weapons and we succeeded in the transformation of the activity. Yes, please, next slide quickly. Yeah, Halilu and Shehu Rocket that we see are the major suppliers of deadly weapons in some of these areas. And we also observe people moving from one location to another to what? To just see, observe, and snap picture with newly arrived weapons. Quickly, please. In the case of Halilu and Shehu Rocket, there are areas, they have CCTV cameras, CCTV cameras. They have rooms for what? For intelligence gathering, and that's also very important. Members of other less powerful gangs, yeah, we've also seen, next slide, please. Use of women and children, that is the area of the gender perspective in some of these issues. Use of women and children as couriers. We all know the complexity and the nature of our borders, for instance. Women and children living along the border in some areas were experts transporters, expert couriers in terms of what? In terms of supplying and the movement of some of the small arms and the light weapons. Moreover, the criminals, particularly the so-called repentant bandits, have dislodged the multiple agents and became either importers or local of arms. When some of these bandits became tired of the bandit life and the rural banditry, they retired. They retired as what? They retired as major suppliers of arms and ammunition to some of these bandits. Listen, yeah, even with that, there is still people born runners, retailers, and drug barons. Ladies and gentlemen, this conflict is a multidimensional, multi-ethnic. We shouldn't just look at it from a particular perspective. Some of these retailers are there, playing a very important role within the context of what? The context of the supply chain. The smaller gangs rely on the stronger ones for guidance, supervision, and supply of arms. We also see supply of arms coming from members of the Boko Haram, ISWAP, and Ansari. Next slide, please. Quickly. Okay, it's also another important area, ladies and gentlemen, where we see the idea of arm renting. The increasing number of gangs and the corresponding demand for operational tools led to the proliferation of different gun retailers. A bandit who is sick and tired, may decide to retire as what? As somebody that retail will give out what? Arms to the younger and the new coming bandits to go and operate on a particular arrangement. These are mostly, in some cases, repentant bandits. Okay. There is also a fixed price for each and every gun. There's also a fixed price for each and every AK-47 that is actually collected. Depending on what? Depending on the usage. That is also another important issue. Please can we move to the next slide? Now, with the use of the rented guns, young bandits have over time acquired their personal motive tools. The problem of rented gun is that outdatedness. Besides its outdatedness, most have been overused by either the owners or the renters. There is also a large number of young boys living in the neighboring villages that serve as part-time bandits. Ladies and gentlemen, the major challenge is the issue of the part-time and the full-time bandits. We see people living in the immediate community that we consider to be innocent may end up being what? They may end up being part-time bandits. Rent a gun in the evening, operate in the night, and returning back the next morning, and they claim innocent. That is a major problem and also a major challenge. Next slide, please. Yeah, the involvement of teenage boys, girls, and married women in the conflict complicated rural victory in the states. Dankarami, Halilu, Rocket, Turuji, Alhaji Shingi all have designated places where they keep people that they succeeded in abducting. And that is where in some cases you see young girls of 10, 15 with their AK-47 looking after some of these victims. The situation is absolutely annoying. Not only that, we've also seen situations where I have a daughter, I am an innocent person in the village with what? With my head of cattle, for instance. With my head of cattle, for instance, I need protection. All I need to do, identify a leader, a notorious leader, and then give my daughter to him for what? For protection. We've seen cases where people saying, please, I want you to diagnose my daughter, let her go, I want her to be married to an active bandit. That is also a very serious problem. I interviewed one of them that said, yeah, he actually married one in 2016, and the remaining two were given to him because of what? Because of his military, what he called the military marks. Can we please move to the next slide? Yeah. Conclusion. Armed bandits are becoming more sophisticated in strength, tactics, and connections. It is no longer doubted that the gangs have transnational networks with smaller gangs across different parts of West Africa. This is demonstrated with their contact and connection, with the terrorist group. Next slide. This year, that is 2021, the bandits could have been celebrating what? The decades of their operations and activities. Fortunately for us, and unfortunately for them, they are in a very serious dilemma. If I should borrow the word of the president, they are treated in the language they understand. Next slide. Please, next slide. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. But I also want to tell you that Murtala Ahmed Rufai is not in any way a bandit, but a field researcher. No more, no less. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's a standing ovation for Dr. Murtala Ahmed Rufai. We'll all agree with me that Dr. Ahmed Rufai has made history today. Since this auditorium was commissioned, this is the first time people will fall into the grave and you see people still standing. You have made history and we are proud of you for that. Said, there will be question and answer session. Quite a number of things that Dr. Rufai left out, he left out deliberately so that you will have enough time to expand them during the Q&A. You come forward, tell us your name and the organization you belong to. If you don't want to identify yourself, maybe you can write on a piece of paper
and pass it to us. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir?
Yes.
With your kind permission?
She should know. You should know what I mean. No, online participating.
I've just been informed that we have quite a number of questions online from our international observers and listeners. Can you please project the questions? We are going to take very few questions.
Tell us who. Who do you want? I do what's today.
I like that.
Who?
It's fine.
Please, which participants?
Hello?
Which are the participants?
I thought maybe they said there are some questions online.
Okay.
Let's take the question from those that are offline. Is from the what?
Just tell them the question.
No comments.
No comments.
What's the argument? Please be brief and straight to the point. Your name and the organization represent.
My name is Abdullah Adamu, Director of Quality Assurance, Universal Basic Education Board. I think I have moral obligation and the responsibility to appreciate, commend, and congratulate the researchers who actually someone encouraged calculated risk considering the fact that the researcher has mingled, interacted, associated with bandits, do you think the current military onslaught in Zamfara is capable of disseminating bandits and armed groups? If the answer is no, what do you think is the viable option? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I call on the next person, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the head of service of Tokyo State. You are welcome, sir. Please, if the joke with number 274 Zulu Zamfara is blocking the road, can the owner please go out and move the car from where it is? Zulu 274 Zamfara. Thank you. Doctor. This should be brief and straightforward. Thank you. All protocol will observe. Balaba for a question from Zulu local government of Zamfara state. I want to ask a question that will add justice to the present presentation on the genesis of banditry in Zamfara state. I was aware before the activities of NSAFE, my younger brothers in the village of Kashawa and some of their neighboring Fulani friends found what is called Kwengiagayu. The first victim were not Hausa villages, but Fulani rural huts and tents. I don't think the genesis of banditry is the activities of NSAFE. Secondly, if the activities of NSAFE that engineered the bandits to operate in Zamfara, then they should exclude their parents, the Fulanis. But their parents are the first target of attack before other neighboring communities. What are you going to say about this? Thank you very much. Please be brief and straight to the point. My name is Mundala Mutafuri. I want to ask the researcher, do you believe there is consequence
that these Fulani people are being used. There have been international, religious, and otherwise involvement, because I am a Fulani. My relatives that are around Sadau, some of them they flew. All they have gotten, all their wealth, all their cows, they ran around Niger seeking for peace, but they met them there, they kidnapped them, demanded for ransom, and they don't have the money. They told them, we know you have harvested about 150 bags of foods. Go and sell them, you collect your relatives. And now after they have done that, they keep running, seeking for peace. But today in Sokoto, like in other areas, you find places where Fulani are being killed. Also, people are being mobilized. Fulani, while from your research, the Fulani are also a major victim of this. Do you believe there is conspiracy in this direction, and what is the Yes, sir, we don't want another lengthy presentation. Questions should be short and straightforward. I will pass the mic to Professors Lejan Rahman and Baba in that order, sir. You have the floor.
My name is Lejan Rahman. I would like to commend the courage, tenacity, and perseverance that enable you to do this work. I very speaking to do. You are highly commended. My first question is there no methodology issue? Because I've not seen anything like that here. How was your data collected? So if we know the credibility of the data, the second thing is methodological but more ethical. While it is true that some of the names and faces we have seen are already in the public domain, there are a number of other names here of individuals, your informants. You should be using their real names or pseudonames for their protection and indirectly yours as well. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. My name is Malam Tukul Baba. I'm from Federal University in United. My first comment is to say the Master of Ceremonies, when he was introducing Murtala, he said Murtala spoke English, Hausa, and a bit of Arabic. Then he added something that I thought is very unfortunate. And the Bandit language. I would like to ask me, what is the Bandit language? From what we have seen, the Bandits don't have a language. I think we need to be very, very careful about stereotyping and making generalizations, especially on issues such as this. Secondly, my own is first direct to Murtala. I have worked with Murtala in the past. I want to suggest, this is more of a suggestion, if you can use the present data to update your book, forthcoming book. I have sold the book to many people. They are still asking me, when is it coming out? When is it coming out? Your book, Violence on the Loose. I think the university should do something about publishing the updated version as soon as possible. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir. I said it in that. Assalamu alaikum. All protocol students up. My name is Zamfara from Shosha Gari College of Institution, Sokoto. First and foremost, I would like to commend the presenter for the job well done. My question is, the presenter during the presentation, he mentioned of some perpetrators of these predatory activities. Please, can you share with us, because in the presentation, you made a mention that there are politicians behind it, there are also
those that care for mining in the states. And I believe you must have come across interaction with those people, as they might have told you the names of those politicians who are sponsored it. Can you share us with this? Thank you.
Let me just add a similar question to that. My question is who are the sponsors of this bandit which you say are still alive? Please, should we have to this question, then we'll now go to action.
Thank you very much. I hope and I appeal you shouldn't eat me raw. You shouldn't eat me raw. I am a field researcher. Ladies and gentlemen, we should know as a student of history, there are information that you need to chew and swallow. There are information that you need to chew and vomit. That is why I am vomiting. Asked to present something like this, I thank God that Professor Baba has seen the book, and he has also dealt very seriously with the methodological question. I was confused. Where should I start? Which am I to address? Understanding the convoluted nature of the conflicts, understanding the delicate nature of rural condition, and that is why I came out with this. It is a public lecture. What is expected is to ginger, to prick the conscience of researchers, not students of history like Murtala. Murtala is just learning, he is a beginner. I am just starting. In the case of the contact of these bandits, I am not disputing the fact that I have contacts, and these contacts are with repentant bandits. Go to Metropolitan South today. Acts of Abdullah Borakai, he is a free person like you and I. You can engage him with a discussion from morning to night, and he will open up. Go to Kasela, go to actually all these areas. And when Daudawa was in Dampa as a repentant, I had an interview with him, and he was given all the opportunities, and he responded to some of these questions. Somebody raised the question, Abdullah Adam, our military operation. It is something that is ongoing. It is ongoing and it is unending. We cannot make any comment about it. Just like I said, there are information meant for public consumption, and that is what I am saying. And when you look at the paper, I don't really have respect for it because the recommendations are not there. They are silent because they are not meant for your consumption. Better places, better avenues, and better agencies that we want to have an understanding of these recommendations. I did not in any way say the origin of rural banditry is with the answer. Rather, I traced the origin to 1891. Lokacin sarkin musulmi Ma'azu Dan Bello, where were the answer then? 1891. Are we there? So it is actually something to bring out. Probably somebody will take an interest in studying the ancient or the ancient form of banditry. And if you like, you can probably provide the connection. The book is what feeling is going to be published, and probably you share a copy. You will see how the issues were unfolding over time. And to give you a very good example, in 1975, Yusuf Kantu actually led a movement, Isa, Sabon Birni and Shinkafi, and the Fulani sentiments. My friend Mustafa, I did not mention Fulani. And I don't think the bandits are fundamental. The question is, where do you place the Igbo retailers of these arms and ammunition? Are they Fulani? Where do you place the Hudirawa bandits in Birnin Magadi in Gidan Kasu in Kukia? Where do you place the Kanure bandits in some of these areas? Ladies and gentlemen, please, we shouldn't be using this ethnic connotation. Fulani bandit, Fulani bandit, Fulani bandit. We are behaving like Logat. When he came to northern Nigeria, he said Fulani Jihad. They were saying, without looking at what? Without looking at the implication of some of these issues. And I'm telling you, we can't look at some of these people with Fulani. They are not in any way Fulani. Let me say this, Fulani. You will lie about that. Why are we using ethnic coloration to some of these issues? This is something that is done by the media, particularly the Western propaganda, to spoil and taint the image of the Fulani. There is actually an attempt to link the activities of Bandit with so-called heart. There are two different phenomena that happen in two different worlds. No relation, no connection, no interaction, no anything, no. The participators is possible of you know what I went through. So I don't think it is something that should be in the public domain. It is an ongoing research. And that is why I am presenting a fraction of what of the research. And that is why I was asked all the time, I am a bandit. And I am not and never a bandit, and I will never be one. Very much. Take some water before you take. Professor Henry Mosabusa, it's your turn. The issue. Allow me to join our communities. I have just one major question. But before my question, let me also make a little correction. This is an academic forum. In your slide, I saw something like federal government guest college Yaoundé. That's not correct. It's federal government college. It's both boys and girls. So, academic forum, we should take note of that. Then, secondly, an academic forum presentation. You did a wonderful job of bringing out what you did. But I don't know. But in an academic forum, when you present facts or whatever they are, let me say your findings. We expect at the end of your findings, you give us your recommendations, no matter how small. Let us make presentations with serious findings like this without making recommendations. Because, for example, you take the LSAC case as some of the people that, ignited the Fulani people to go on bandit. Well, let's say the bandit. What do you think should be done? What should be done to LSAC? Bandit, what should be done? The issue is there should be a recommendation, no matter how small. You can't make a presentation without recommendation. Not in an academic forum. If it's a public lecture, fine. This is public and academic. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This is a question from James, all the way from People's Republic of China. Question to Dr. Rufai. Sir, in your research, you pointed out about the local network of more than 10,000 bandits alone in Zamfara state. What is the future of downtrodden in such environments and long-term solutions to lingering crises both at national and regional level? From James, always. Mr. Presenter, thank you very much for a wonderful presentation. You talk about situation of bandits in some part of Zamfara. But But you see other areas like Mada, I want to believe it's for Mada, and it environs the activities of bandits is absent. Is it absent there? Allow informers around community and when they are called, why are they released? I'm reading the questions the way they are written. The second one, what advice can you give to government and students and parents to encourage them to continue to study in Zamfara State because they know how to navigate the bandits to enter our schools and now our school. Please, my question is the issue of informant. Please, what is the position of informant in this issue of banditry? Thank you. My name is Muhammad from the Topics a rumor have been going on in United States that most of the bandits operating within the regions that such kind of things are happening are from Zamfara State. So, sir, I don't know if in your research you have come across anything like this in order for Niger State to have the say about that. Thank you.
Let me start from the latter. I was in Niger, in Shiroro, in Kwakungu, and other areas. And there is actually the issue of a mixture of different ethnic groups. Bagi, or who you call the Gwari bandits. There were Nubi people in it. There were Kamuko people in it. There were the Ukuru also. And this is something that is actually done, I think, very recently, and actually, that's actually the aspects which probably we can discuss later. And one interesting thing, since I am actually pushed to the wall, we've observed the formation, Professor, thank you very much for that question. We've observed the formation of La Puruji, specifically in Gune Emirates. The people we are fundamentally a group of vigilante group with a combination of different ethnic groups. The Labude have reduced significantly the rate of rural banditry in the Emirates. And they have a system so far we study about the approach to the rural insecurity. I think this is part of the recommendation. If we can have such thing, or organization or association will actually go along with. Yeah, in terms of the methodology and also the future of these areas, it is actually also a very important issue to look at. If you have the paper, you have in the appendix, there is actually a list of different bandits and also the membership. These are fundamentally and basically youth. In terms of what? In terms of generating that data, the data actually came from the rural areas, particularly from the combination of the repentant bandits 1, members of the vigilante 2, and members of the NSA 3. I am not saying that that data is perfect. It is rather a mere approximation, plus or minus. So, in terms of what? In terms of the future of these rural areas, ladies and gentlemen, when the storm is over, we should go into the radicalization process. And that will assist significantly and fundamentally in radicalizing the radicals. Beyond what? Beyond either the passive or the active bandits. I think this is my take. Other questions, comments, observations are actually noted and noted in good faith. Thank you.
Dr. Uchala, I just have to read quickly in the Vice Chancellor's office. If I don't do that, when next we have appointment? I want to join others in congratulating the researcher and by extension the university for this success. My question is, the research has pointed out the bandit goal as perhaps the research should have emphasis clearly how in the past banditry was solved, so that even if the research is not giving some recommendations for security reasons, the audience will have an idea as to how it was solved before with a view to solving the present situation.
Thank you very much for that wonderful one. But historically, what we observe in the Caliphate, and I believe Professor Tukur Baba knows that better than me, there was actually during the period of Sultan Muhammad Bello, the recruitment of what they call the cattle guards. Professor Murelas has written extensively on the policy of the Caliphate in carving issues of rural banditry, rural insecurity, and the farmer-header conflicts. That's, for instance, we are given all the religious knowledge. They move around with the nomads or with the pastoralists. At every point in time, they saw, they pray, they teach them different ethics of the religion and also the practice of the religion, and they continue, and they are paid right here in South Africa. Not only that, when Logat came on board, because of the problem of rural insecurity, he established what he called caravan tools. And these are areas he identified as checkpoints, entry and exit points into the province. Where are you going? Why are you going? Where you are going? What are you carrying? And how do you get what you have? All these are issues of stock-taking, of what? Of the movement of people and their activities. And that reviews the issue of rural banditry and other aspects of rural insecurity significantly. Ladies and gentlemen, this is something that we cannot exhaust here. And the essence of this presentation is not in any way perfect, rather to create and identify gaps where scholars of international repute, not people like Murtala, will go in and will come out with new knowledge, so that we can save this country from what? From the bandit regime. Thank you very much.
Very much. You can take your seat. Mr. Vice Chancellor, we have the last say on this presentation. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir. Thank you, Murtala, and thank you everyone for the patience to listen to what Murtala was telling us just a few minutes ago. As I said from the beginning, ours as a university is to provide the information, fill the missing gaps, and create other gaps. Research is to answer questions and ask other questions to be answered by other researchers. What we have done here is to give members of the public a hint of the genesis, evolution, and characterizations and characteristics of rural banditry. We are to provide a platform where those that matters will take off from there. As I said from the beginning, we are available to provide any process that will bring peace to all. Be it the bandits themselves or the victims. Ours is to provide a platform where peace can prosper for our motherland. Neither those living in the bush, neither the bandits themselves, majority of them, they were forced into this by circumstances.
if I read between the lines what Murtala was saying, I had an interesting discussion with him. We are in between whether we should allow this at the university to happen, or we should stop it, or whether we should gang Murtala or not gang him. Whether it should be purely academic or we should leave it open. We decided to leave it open. That's why some of the academical issues that need to have been addressed by him were skipped. They were deliberately skipped because we are asking him to do that. We want it to be a normal public lecture. I was asked whether in public lecture question and answer are not entertained. I say this is a special topic that will arouse interest of so many of us. Let's allow few questions, not because we don't want discussion, simply because we want it to be treated as a public lecture. Thank you. May Almighty Allah be with us. May He bring peace to our motherland. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor, for that insight, comments. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been asked to inform you that in 2 weeks' time, on the 23rd of this month, we are 30th of this month, we are going to listen, God willing, to Professor Sanusi Muhammad from the Department of Biological Sciences, who will give the 27th inaugural lecture of this university. Inaugural lecture number 28, God willing, will be delivered by Professor Hussein Usman Madani of the Department of Economics. On this note, I would like to invite the Dean of the Students' Affairs, Professor Muhammad Amin Mode, to please come forward and give the vote of thanks.
On behalf of the Department of History, Arts and Islamic Studies, and Usman Danfole University, so I wish to express our appreciation first and foremost to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity to attend this lecture. I believe we have learned a lot, we have had a lot, and we shall continue to work on what we have learned from the presenter. As Vice Chancellor, we really appreciate for the approval you have given your presence. Our guests from Kenya State, Special Advisor on Security, is here, sir, we say thank you. The head of service, Sokoto State, Alaja Presidential, thank you for your presence. There will be no time for us to mention all names, but I am grateful on behalf of the people I have mentioned to say a big thank you to our elders that are here from Tudor, from Kebbi, and other parts of the country. We say a big thank you. And finally, we say thank you to our students that are here, both returning and the newly admitted students. I hope you will attend our lectures whenever you see our notices. You are welcome here, and we say may Allah take everyone here back home safely. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2 years' time, Dr. Henry Murtala Profile will be filing his papers for the Professor of History. We said by the immediate Vice Chancellor at Ikma University, Lori, Professor Muhammad Tawfiq Barwaj, right, Professor Sir. Continue to guide us. Continue to guide our leaders. Continue to protect us. Help us to solve the problems of our country, of our land. Not beyond your power. In your power, absolutely. I will thank you to continue to guide us and protect us. Subhana rabbika, rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wa salamun ala al-mursalin, walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Thank you very much.